Chapter 5. The System. I am pro-options and pro-education, but this is different from simply being pro-school and gaining general knowledge just for acquisition's sake. We have been told that education and school are the same thing, but they are not. School has an end, but education is infinite. In his famous book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill explains why knowledge alone does not equate to power. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. Lack of understanding of this fact has been the source of confusion to millions of people who falsely believe that knowledge is power. In the same book, Napoleon Hill then breaks down the original meaning of the word education. That word, education, is derived from the Latin word educo, meaning to educe, to draw out, to develop from within. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. Students and graduates should seek specialized knowledge and then find creative ways to leverage it to get what they want and to achieve their definitions of success. This is how people truly become educated, whether they utilize school or not. You must tap into and unleash the power of your mind. School is a viable option, but only if you understand the true meaning of education. College is not for everyone, but it is my opinion that everyone should at least give themselves the option of attending college. When I use the word success, I am referring to mental, physical, spiritual, and financial well-being. You must define success for yourself and not limit it to a job or salary. No type of schooling will guarantee success, but you can obtain your desired job or salary and much more by properly leveraging school, expanding your network, gaining meaningful experiences, and fine-tuning your ability to properly market yourself. In theory, we go to school to learn, but what are we really learning? Students often ask, when will I use this? Or, why do I need to know that? In school, I was placed in math classes, but not taught how to apply math towards personal financial literacy or decision-making. I was placed in science classes, such as biology and chemistry, but not taught about how they relate to the foods we should eat for healthy lives. I was placed in English classes, but I was not taught how to effectively or properly communicate in personal or professional settings. I was placed in history classes, but although I am a student of African descent, I was not taught about Afrocentricity. Due to this reality and other reasons, school tends to serve as a conveyor belt for future miserable employees because it lacks a transferable connection to the world after high school. I entered college not knowing how to properly write an email or a resume. I was not taught these aspects of formal writing until I was a junior in college, taking an introductory business course. I still remember a terrible email that I sent to my calculus professor during my first semester of college. It read along the lines of, "Yo, why is my grade not updated?" That is no way to address a professor, but I did not know any better. In high school, if I found discrepancies, I would just wait until I saw these teachers again, since we saw each other every day. However, this is not the case in college. There are days in between classes that delay opportunities to speak with professors face to face. No school at any grade or level intentionally taught me about sales. But in my opinion, the ability to sell is the best educational tool to have. Have you ever noticed that colleges have all kinds of majors and specializations except in the subject of sales? I learned sales from selling candy as a kid, selling my skills in job interviews, and selling my potential to attract women. I learned how to articulate myself as the optimal choice in a non-harmful manner and without being deceitful. We all know people and companies who lie and trick others to get what they want. That style of sales just does not sit right with my spirit. I would rather someone reject, dislike, or hate me for telling the truth than for them to love me based on fairy tale lies that make them feel good. In 2021, the state of Ohio passed a law that makes it mandatory for high schools to teach at least one semester of financial literacy. If taught correctly, this is arguably the most important class that a high school student will take from a life skills perspective. Finances govern most of our decisions. Note that it is the number one reason for crime and divorce. Every day and almost every hour, we ask, how much does it cost? What am I going to eat? Where am I going to live? What am I going to wear? Whose Netflix account can I use for free? In America, the financial topics of risk to reward ratio, cost benefit analysis, budgeting, credit, investing, cost of living, and taxes are inescapable. Therefore, it would make sense to learn them at least on a basic level. Mathematics. When I ask students about their grades, they will typically say that their worst grade is in math class. When I ask why they struggle, they say it is due to not seeing the importance of the subject beyond the basics, or they just are not good at it, which causes them not to try. The subject of math should be taken more seriously and taught in a way that is relatable to the students. With students and family members who struggle, I can teach and explain in a simple manner various concepts and problems that seem complex at first. I do this by rephrasing questions. I once wondered about the importance of a high-level course like calculus. It was not until I took it for the second time that I understood calculus was more about critical thinking and bringing together every level of mathematics to solve problems. We live in a universe that revolves around mathematics. Individuals who lead the masses tend to be mathematical thinkers who can break things down in their minds and find solutions. Let us look at this example. If someone were to give you a 600-page book that has the potential to change your life if you read it, that number 600 may seem too big of a pill to swallow. Just break it down. 600 pages divided by 30 days is only 20 pages per day for a month. Another option is to spread it out over 60 days, which is only 10 pages a day. If you have time to watch TV, be on social media, or go to parties, then you have time to accomplish tasks that will positively benefit your future. It is mathematical to have the ability to break things down, know what to do, and then execute the plan to arrive at the correct solution. Digital pros and cons. For most people, wrapped all into one, cell phones have become the most preferred source of information, communication, and dopamine hits. We depend on our phones as our alarm clock, our newspaper, our photo album, our GPS, our game system, and more. Once upon a time, we depended on radio and television broadcasts or printed books that required us to go inside physical buildings to retrieve information. We had one phone or large computer per household. More often than not, we had to wait at least 1 week before packages would ship to our homes. These realities forced us to exercise gratitude, patience, and dependency, even at the expense of remaining somewhat ignorant. We also did not spend hours staring at a tiny screen, constantly receiving rushes of dopamine from messages, likes, comments, buzzes, and pings. Our devices have become our biggest addiction and have made it much easier to fall victim to the overconsumption of our vices. Notice how far we have come as a society, and now we can have what we need and want with much greater convenience. This new digital and automated world has brought great advantages, but not without some harmful effects. With cell phones as our new teachers, content posted on social media platforms and streaming services has turned into the new lesson plan. Both have captured the minds and attention of our society, regardless of age. Social media has made the world smaller, and we can access anyone across the globe who uses it. Although content can serve as a benefit, Most consumers become drenched by overwhelming distractions. There are so many social media platforms and streaming services, and we are expected to be on and participate in each one of them. Society and our peers induce FOMO, or fear of missing out, in us if we choose not to participate. However, by trying to see everything that is posted or released, our dreams and goals get pushed further and further away. Distractions take us further away from what we seek to attract. I make sure I use the available content for my benefit to help me learn and get closer to my goals. I advise everyone to do their best to follow suit. Sadly, too many people procrastinate or search for instant gratification by spending an insane amount of their days scrolling and posting on social media or binge watching movies and shows. Something I have often done to mitigate these distractions is deleting social media apps from my phone for consecutive months. Deleting the apps eliminated my urge to scroll, which helped me focus on achieving my goals in the classroom and in my sport. I replaced the time I would spend on social media with studying for class or watching sports films. Here are the 4 E's of content that you should be conscious of. 1. Educate. Learning applicable information on how to better yourself, your situation, or accomplish tasks and goals. 2. Entertain. Laughing at funny movies, memes, and short videos. 3. Eroticize. Sexually fantasizing over porn or half-naked photos and videos. 4. Escape. Mindlessly scrolling to pass time or procrastinate. When I decide to consume content or use social media, it is mostly for learning beneficial and applicable information. I also use it to connect with experts in different fields like mindset strengthening, athletics, finances, and nutrition. I then find or create opportunities to meet specific expert groups or individuals in person. Experts whom I never would have met without social media include Lance Kurse, Derek Grant, and Sumer Basin. Fortunately, I discovered their Instagram pages. The original intent of social media remains, as we still use it to see what our friends and family are doing. However, we must know that most people only post their wins or what they think people want to see. As much as I try to stay focused, because I follow friends and family, distractions and gossip still pop up. Here, I offer some more personal tips and examples of how to leverage social media for your benefit. Establish a bio that quickly tells who you are and post content that resembles that. Now, when you message people you want to learn from or speak with, whatever you are saying or asking for will be easier to get across. Turn off social media notifications. The constant sounds, vibrations, and updates will lower your focus and affect your dopamine receptors. Otherwise, you can become addicted to social media and continually depend on it for your happiness. Reach out to the experts. During my sophomore year of college, I used Instagram to direct message multiple long jumpers. Some of them were Olympians, like Mike Hartfield or Marquise Dendy. They replied to me and gave great advice on how I could improve. When I recognize gaps in my knowledge that can be filled with useful information, it makes sense to seek guidance from those who have been where I have been and who are currently doing or have done what I am seeking to accomplish. Dear Kenny, do not get wrapped up in the social media matrix. Use it to learn, laugh, and stay in contact with people you meet along your journey. But beware of the negatives that it can induce. It can be the thief of joy. Likes, followers, comments, retweets, and reposts do not determine your self-worth. Some people and companies literally buy likes and followers, so it isn't even a fair metric. Remain true to yourself and remember, there is an entire universe outside of social media. I want you to also understand the power that imagery has on your mind. Social media is full of images that can sway your thinking. This is how some people can persuade you into living a false reality. Always remain skeptical and know that your mind is a garden that should be properly seeded and carefully tended to. There will also be weeds that you should remove from your garden. Bob Proctor said it best. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. This can refer to dreams and goals, material items, or people. Seeing something in your mind before you hold it in your hand occurs by using your imagination. Allow me to break down the word imagination even further. Image, nation. Your mind operates as a nation of images. This is why pictures are worth 1,000 words, why seeing is believing, and why people say, I knew and saw this happen before it truly did.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. Meditation and metacognition. When we are constantly distracted by noises and notification, it eats at our time and limits our ability to focus. Think about what most people do on a typical day. We constantly consume information and food, and we complete various tasks. Where is the time to be at peace and truly think about our thoughts? Many students are unaware of meditation and the benefits it brings because they are not taught about it. When we hear the word meditation, we have been programmed to think of a monk figure humming and sitting with crossed legs. However, anything that brings you peace and some type of quietness or stillness can be classified as meditation. Meditation is the reason many people have their best ideas in the shower. In this scenario, we are alone and allowed to think in peace. Thankfully, there are other ways to do this besides showering and increasing your water bill. In doing so, I recommend that every reader remove themselves from other people or any technological distractions for at least 5 minutes a day. This will give you the opportunity to reflect and focus on your breath. Alone time also helps with accomplishing tasks that take longer than they should due to the distractions that come from other people and sources of entertainment. Time to meditate allows for the process of metacognition to occur. Metacognition is the process of thinking about what you are thinking about. Within this process, you are questioning yourself and the thoughts that pop up in your mind. You evaluate what you allow to occupy your mind. Think about the benefits this could have on students if they were taught how to implement this concept. Metacognition allows us to respond to situations based on logic instead of reacting too quickly or automatically based on emotions. This would certainly help people, including students, to stay out of unnecessary trouble. For example, a student in class questions their thoughts and has a conversation in their mind before making a decision. If I talk when I'm not supposed to, I might get in trouble or kicked out of class. What will happen then? That would lead to me becoming upset or missing assignments and key information for our upcoming exam. It will lower my grade and my chances of getting certain scholarships. Maybe I should just keep quiet. Change the system.
The modern version of the school system operates as it was designed to.
However, there are obvious needs for change as the world has changed and continues to do so. We must implement new methods and curricula that fuse academia with the diverse cultural backgrounds and interests of students. This also includes the dire need for integrating the 5 core competencies of social emotional learning: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. Today's students and graduates are more stressed out than ever before due to, but not limited to, family and financial pressures, unhealthy comparisons, and unrealistic expectations. Regardless of how long it takes to change a system that may seem to inevitably remain the same, we must take the power into our own hands. As I alluded to earlier in this chapter and on the back cover of this book, school and education are not the same thing. An educated person knows how to acquire anything they want by using the power of their mind and the resources around them. A person who overly depends on what they are taught in the confines of school only knows how to follow directions and regurgitate information. Students must recognize the power within themselves and their technological devices, then use both to learn applicable information and connect with mentors. Dear Kenny, be rebellious, leverage school, and seek true education. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. Learn how to learn. During an interview on the Breakfast Club radio show, 19 Keys gave some amazing points in terms of education. I have included a snippet of those powerful words, followed by my own synopsis. With the proper mindset, you can learn any skill set. The first thing we must do is learn how to learn. We live in a time where information is so accessible that we do not value it, nor do we know how to decipher facts from fiction. Some of us develop lackluster learning habits that stem from our parents and the current school system. How often have you or someone you know gotten upset when attempting to learn something new? It is my opinion that we should find ways that are best for us to digest information and make it relatable. Even if the content is difficult at first, we have the ability to creatively break it down in a way for us to understand it. Many of us, and even myself, will blame the school system for what they did not teach us. That blame and potential anger does have merit, but some of the missing information is a blessing. But how? If someone or something taught you everything you needed to know, it would limit your ability to go and figure things out on your own.